tell me you're wearing a corset without telling me you're wearing a corset. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to successfully hide your boning. Okay, these are the seam lines that are in the corset. You must have at least half an inch allowance, seam allowance on each seam line to be able to do this. Okay, so you can even have more than that. Now this particular place, this particular neckline and the armhole line, I'll be trimming off half inch of my interfacing. Also on the cup area, I'll be trimming off half inch of my interfacing. I used soft wadding for this particular corset. Okay, so if you use stay for your corset, you don't need to remove anything. You don't necessarily need to do that, but if you want to, it's by choice. That is if you are doubling the estate. It totally depends on the kind of interfacing you are using. Why I'm doing this is to make sure that when I turn in my lining, it stays inside. It doesn't make my dress to be bulky on the neckline and the lining will just be popping out. Okay, so this is why this is very important. I always trim off the half an inch from my neckline, my armhole line, where I'm going to turn in. I'm cutting out pieces of the fabric. I'm going to use this to encase the rough ends of my boning. This is to make sure that you don't poke your client with your boning. Okay, when the client wears the dress, you encase the ends of the boning with pieces, just a little pieces of cloth, to ensure that it doesn't poke the client. So that is exactly what I am doing. And for this corset, obviously you are going to use Ridgeline boning and not plastic boning, because you need a sew-on boning that will enable you to do the work properly. Okay, so this is my Ridgeline bone, and I'm just going to place that in the center line, that seam line. I'm placing it and I flip the cloth over to one side. Okay, taking the allowance, the half inch seam allowance, I'm just going to put it on my machine and sew. Watch closely what I am doing. I flip the clothes to one side and I am just sewing on one side of the boning. Okay, after sewing on this side, I'm also going to sew on the other side. This is to make sure that I secure the boning to the clothes very well, because you know corset has to do with snatching, and you don't want to snatch and at the end of the day it is not there's no security in the clothes. Okay, so I just cut the boning and I'm also covering the end part of the boning. Notice that I didn't finish the boning. I didn't get to the end of the corset. I stopped half an inch before the end of the corset. So you can see what it looks like. I just sew on one side. Okay, and this is me sewing the other side. Like I said, this is to secure the boning on the corset, so that when you lace, when you snatch, when you cinch the waist, you know that you have enough security for your corset. Okay, so just watch, follow and understand what I am doing. It's actually a very simple process. Okay, I'll be repeating the process on the style line or the seam line that is just beneath the cup area. Okay, so it's basically to also leave half an inch. That is very important because you want to be able to sew in your cup. Okay, so we flip to one side and we put it in the machine, and just like that sew down, sewing the boning to one side, sewing one side of the boning to one side of your seam allowance. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you are done. You see that there is no seam line on the surface area of your corset. Everything is just, the only line that is there is the style line, but your boning line is not there. Your boning has been encased or hidden underneath the clothes. So who's gonna know that there is boning inside the dress? I mean, to avoid a lot of seam lines in your corset, this is your best bet. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the difference between sewing your boning this way and hiding your boning. Well, you can see that I stitched this in a way that the lines, the stitches are showing on the right side of the corset. You can see this for yourself. But the first sewing that we did, the first boning that we fixed, it was hidden. There are no seam lines on the right side of the clothes. So the difference is very clear. And in my opinion, hiding your boning line is just the best, because it will reduce the stitches that is showing on the dress, because having so many stitches on your dress will only make the dress look tacky. Another way that you can actually hide your boning, even though you sew the ridgeline bone and the stitches are they are showing on the right side, is using a plain fabric to just cover up the entire front of your corset, which is what I did here. So I just used a sequence fabric, I put a lining underneath and I covered it up. Okay, so nobody knows that there's a corset underneath. Everything is just hidden, you can see. Okay, there are no seam lines, nothing, everything is just covered. And this is when I've finished joining the cup and I've joined the sides, and you can just see how it is. This makes the clothes look even better, not having so many joinings, lines and all of that. So anyway you decide to fix your ridgeline bone, it can work for you. But the main thing is the main purpose of this video is to show you how to cover up your boning line, how to make sure everything is concealed. Okay, you can decide to just leave your style lines showing, but then the boning is underneath, or you can as well just use a plain material to cover, just like this particular corset that I'm just going to show you now. I used a plain fabric to encase the corset. Okay, and it just made the clothes look even more beautiful. Okay, this is me pinning up the plain fabric on my okay, this is the back of the corset, right? So I'm just using my pin to set my plain material on my corset. Once I'm done with this, I'll trim off the excess around the material, around the back of the corset, and you can already see. So this is the front side. You can see the style lines and it is covered, and you can see how the back is. So this is just me styling the dress, and I'm just playing around with the appliques that is in the dress, that I used for the dress, sorry. So afterwards you can see my clients. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you.